Actress and activist Shailene Woodley was arrested last week while protesting the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline alongside over 200 other water protectors. And now she's out, and she's written an editorial about her experience and what for her the struggle represents, but also for those who have been there for months and continue to be there, like Shailene. So first of all, she wanted to talk about the fact that in this country, we obviously have a tragic history going back with the relationship between the federal government and various Native communities. And now it's one of the groups in our country that you're simply allowed to take their culture and just use it for whatever you want in a light and shallow way without understanding what it really represents. And she's been witnessing that as well. She says, "We wear their heritage, their sacred totems as decoration and in fashion trends, failing to honor their culture. Headdresses, feathers, arrows, moccasins, sage, beadwork. You know what I'm talking about, Coachella. Walking around the flea market this weekend, I can't even tell you how many Native references I saw being used in a way that feeds our Western narrative." And then she talks about the government consequences of this, the policy consequences. When we talk about marginalized communities in our country, we do not, on a mainstream level, include Native Americans. When we talk about sex trafficking in our country, we do not, on a mainstream level, include Native Americans. When we talk about government integrity, we do not, on a mainstream level, include Native Americans. Treaties are broken, land is stolen, dams are built, reservations are flooded, people are displaced. Yet we fail to notice, we fail to acknowledge, we fail to act. And this is what I think one of the reasons she wanted to get arrested for, she goes into in this. So much so that it took me, a white non-Native woman being arrested on October 10th in North Dakota on Indigenous Peoples Day to bring this cause to many people's attention and to the forefront of news publications around the world. The day I was detained, 26 others had to dress in orange as well, as they were booked into the Morton County Jail. Did you hear about them? And then she says, and she's obviously happy that people were rallying around her, and we did a video right after it happened, but what if we took the hashtag Free Shailene and made it hashtag Protect Clean Water, or hashtag Honor Native Treaties, or hashtag I Stand with Standing Rock? What if we don't let this stop trending on social media, at our dinner tables, in the streets? What if we wake up to the possibilities of noticing, of choosing, and of acting on our awareness? Will you choose money, or will you choose children? Will you choose ignorance, or will you choose love? Will you choose blindness, or will you choose freedom? And she continues to support that community on the ground protesting against the construction.
Let me just say something quickly, because my other job, I'm a host of Turner Classic Movies, and especially in this election season, we've done some election movies. And Turner Classic Movies is not the place to air one's political beliefs. Nobody there, I think, has an idea. They know where I stand. But whenever politics bleeds into anything, I get grief on Twitter. Shut up, these are not for politics. There's a rich history of Hollywood activism and a relevant history and an important history. And Shailene Woodley is literally the best Hollywood has to offer. She's really the best America has to offer, and she happens to also be an important and relevant and rising Hollywood actress. And it's just great to see. You go back to the 1940s and you look at those in Hollywood who stood against the blacklist and who stood against McCarthyism, and they led that fight. And so to see somebody who is smart and rounded and educated and unbelievably talented as a nice bonus, it's inspiring. Like, it makes me feel good about that spending a career talking about movies can be a little more substantive than sometimes it seems to be. So she doesn't need me to be proud of her, but I'm enormously proud that she's representative of this business.
Yeah, I think on the activism front, we have yet begun to fight. This is the tip of the iceberg. I think in the next 4 years, the iceberg is coming. And so people like Shailene Woodley make a big difference, and the reason they do is because people pay attention to it. And we wish that they would pay attention to the 26 others that were arrested, as she says in her editorial, but oftentimes they don't. So that is why people get so mad, people who don't want you paying attention. When Shailene Woodley does it, when Rosario Dawson does it to get money out of politics, when Colin Kaepernick does it about Black Lives Matter, people get so upset because they're like, oh no, this will cause people to pay attention to it. Okay, and so the reality is that's a wonderful thing. It's a courageous thing for them to do, and I think that we're going to see a lot more of it, and we're going to stop listening to those naysayers who says, oh, no, don't you dare voice your opinions. Don't you dare try to protect others. I think that Shailene's courage is going to echo for a long time going forward.
And you know, and that's why it's a really nice thing, even though he won't take a call from Sweden, why a guy like Bob Dylan got the Nobel Prize. Bob Dylan has been talking about it for a long time, and so it matters, and God bless these people for doing it. Again, yes, we shouldn't care more what George Clooney thinks than anybody, than any of those other 26 people. But we pay attention, so good for him for speaking out, and mostly this is about her, and good for her.
Yeah.
Well, just real quick, we live in a world where we already are considering people who are protesting as terrorists, and journalists are being jailed. And the executive branch is using extreme measures to jail journalists. We're living in a scarier time than I think people realize. And I think we are closer to the iceberg than people realize, too. I hope we are.
Podcast the whole 2-hour Young Turks every single day, commercial-free, All-Star Tuesdays, Aggressive Progressives, Old School, Post Games, TYT Classics. You get it all with membership. Do it now, tytnetwork.com/join.